The New York Islanders play a better game, but they're still a little too sloppy to beat a talented team like the Avalanche. We have our key takeaways from the game, what went right, what went wrong, plus our weekly farm report on all things Bridgeport Islanders, all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. And you can now hear us on SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just do a search for Locked On Islanders. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Lots to discuss on today's show. A better performance, but not a great performance by the New York Islanders in their 7-4 loss from the Avalanche. We'll have our key takeaways, break down what this team did, and have our hero and go to the game. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, send us an email at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you'll leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders throughout the season, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Isles hockey, game time or anytime. All right, so the Islanders lose 7-4 to the Colorado Avalanche. And yeah, it was a disappointing loss. Not so much because the Islanders played poorly. I mean, look, 2 empty net goals at the end. This was a 1-goal game, basically with exactly 1 minute and 1 second left in the third period. And it was all tied at 4-4 until, a little more than 12 minutes were left in the game. But at the end of the day, the New York Islanders could not. They did some things they just cannot do if they hope to beat a more skilled, faster team than the New York than they are in the Colorado Avalanche. And the big thing is this: if I were to say to you, which team dictated the style of play that we saw in this game, the answer is not the New York Islanders. In the first period, especially, the Islanders were playing poorly. They were chasing the Avalanche. They took some bad penalties. First goal of the game, a power play goal, just 5 minutes and change in by Ryan Johansson. And, it was, again, Ilya Sorokin keeping the Islanders in it. And, here is a situation where this is the first time in his career that Ilya Sorokin gave up 5 or more goals in back-to-back games. Remember, he played Friday against the New Jersey Devils, and yet in neither one of those games do I think he played poorly. I think he played very well on Friday, and I think he played well last night against Colorado. But again, too many quality chances, too much time and space in the neutral zone. And, you look at the statistics. Nathan MacKinnon, 8 shots on goal. Mikko Rantanen, who had 4 points, 5 shots on goal. Ryan Johansson, 5 shots on goal. Ross Colton, 5. You give up 41 shots on goal. You are, even if you get great goaltending, you're not going to win. You take so many penalties. Even when you go down to 4-on-4 hockey, you can't do that. That favors a more speedy and skilled team like the Avalanche. So The style of play in this game was dictated by Colorado. And when you're the home team and you've got the final matchup, that's not a good thing. Now, there were some bright spots that I did want to discuss. Simon Holmstrom, 3 shots on goal and a goal in this game. That was encouraging. And seeing him play on that third line, he seemed to do better. And, a lot of it with Holmstrom, and you saw the goal, he has a good shot. He just doesn't have the confidence yet to use it often enough. We see the 3 shots on goal. We see a goal. Okay, it's a flash. It means he has the ability to do it, but can he do it consistently? That is what he needs to prove to take his game to the next level. So far, he hasn't proven it, but at least that was good. Look, Anders Lee, 4 shots on goal. He had a goal in this game, and it was a good goal, although it was one of those situations where Georgiev whiffed on it and wants it back. But look, you got to shoot. It was an aggressive play. I liked it. I'm still not thrilled with Lee on the top line, but he played, a fine game in this one and definitely deserves credit. And, again, we see that this team just couldn't get out of their own way at various times in the game, and that's what you don't want to see. Good game for Cal Clutterbuck, a goal and an assist. J.G. Pageau, 2 assists. And what Lane Lambert did, the first period, as I mentioned, Isles thoroughly outplayed by the Colorado Avalanche. So what does Lane Lambert do? He already switched the lines up a little, but what he did late in the first period or in the second period, he moved Cal Clutterbuck up to the third line, put Oliver Wahlstrom down on the fourth, so that you had Pageau, Holmstrom, and Clutterbuck as the third line, and then Cizikas, Martin, and Wahlstrom as the fourth line. Well, Martin barely saw the ice, 5.5 minutes of ice time. Samuel Bolduc, 6 minutes and 5 seconds of ice time. So they really played with 5 defensemen. I guess they just didn't trust Bolduc against this speedy and skilled Avalanche team. And, Oliver Wahlstrom only 8 minutes and change. Pierre Engvall only 9:43. Those are the guys that didn't see a lot of ice time, and it ended up, I guess, costing the Islanders a bit. Highlights, how about this? Brock Nelson, 11 out of 15 in the faceoff circle. J.G. Pageau, 11 out of 16. Those guys were red hot in the faceoff circle, and especially in the second period, the Islanders were able to get back in this game and just, take a lead, but then they couldn't hold it because of the sloppy play. So I like the tenacity. I like the never say die attitude, but to beat a red hot, now 6-0 Avalanche team, you need to play, I won't say perfect, because even after two periods, they were in this game. But again, here's the thing. Second period, you play really well. You take a 3-2 lead off the goals by Palmieri and Holmstrom, and then in the final minute, you give up 2 goals in 13 seconds, both of them coming in the final minute. Then you outplay Colorado in the second period for 19 minutes, and you end up right back where you started from, down 1 goal, because you just let it slip through your fingers. These are things you can't do. You get a power play, a 4-minute power play in the third period, down a goal, and you take a penalty. Matthew Barzal called for boarding. You wipe out the power play, or at least 2 minutes of it, and they end up not converting. So these are things you got to do better, and the Islanders didn't. It was good effort, but not sound fundamental hockey, and you got to play sound fundamental Islanders hockey to beat the Avs let's hope the Islanders can do that going forward. There are things they can build on from this game, but not good enough to defeat the Avalanche. All right. We have got more to get to on today's show. We'll have some more takeaways from this game, including our hero and GOAT of the game, plus our Islanders birthday of the day. Well, I guess it's a player who never really wanted to be an Islander, was with the team for less than a season, and never really lived up to expectations as an Islander. He played for them in the mid-90s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. We've got all that and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, so our hero and GOAT of the game, and this one is not easy. I'm going with Cal Clutterbuck as the hero of the game. I mean, a multi-point game, stepped up to the third line, played over 15 minutes, and played well. So to me, Clutter is going to be the hero of the game. The GOAT of the game, tough one, but I'm going with Matthew Barzal because he's the one who took that penalty that disrupted the 4-minute power play that was, the Islanders' best opportunity to tie the game in the second half of that third period. You can't take a penalty there, especially in the offensive zone. Just a sloppy, careless, unacceptable play. And even though the rest of the game, he wasn't terrible. I mean, he had an assist. He was a -2 and had 4 shots, but Barzy has to know better. And so to me, he is going to be the GOAT of the game. I have to talk a little bit about Adam Pelech, not liking the way he played defensively. He was a -2, and the Islanders need more from him. And overall, the team defense needs to be better. It's not just that they allowed 41 shots. It's how many of those shots were high danger shots. And you just can't do that against a talented team like the Colorado Avalanche. I mean, Noah Dobson played well, 2 assists, 26 minutes, 25 seconds to lead all Islanders in ice time. But again, still no Scott Mayfield. They really miss him. They could use him back. And, do we get Julien Gauthier back in the lineup? Do we get Hudson Fasching back? I'm not so sure. But overall, I think I'm happy with the effort. I'm happy with the fact that this team never gave up. But to beat a better team, you need to be disciplined and efficient, and you need to slow down their skill. And the Islanders just did not do that enough. The second period is something they can build on. I liked the way they played for the first 18 and a half, 19 minutes of the period. But you can't leave that, that last minute. One thing this team does not do, they always have these droughts, these brain farts, these points in the game where they just let up. And, 2 goals in the final minute of that second period undid 19 minutes of really good play. And then you top it off by Anders Lee tying the game again early in the third. And again, you couldn't hold the lead. It's just frustrating to see. Now, what the Islanders need to do is sort of combine a few things. I like the way the offense played for most of this game. I think they were better. I think the transition game was better. Noah Dobson had a strong game in that respect, but they've got to go back to their winning formula, and that winning formula involves disciplined team defense. It may not be exciting hockey, but this team lacks the firepower to stay with better offensive teams. And look, the Colorado Avalanche are elite. They have got to be there. Look, right now, the next game that the Islanders are going to play, it isn't going to get that much easier because you're going up next against the Ottawa Senators. Yeah, they're 3-3, but they are a team that can put the puck in the net, and the Islanders are going to have to play it their way, especially when you're at home. When you've got the last line change, you have to be able to dictate the style of play. That's part of home ice advantage. And it was disappointing to me to see Lane Lambert's team not dictate. Now, again, the Avalanche dictate to most teams that they face, but it has to be better. It just has to be better against Ottawa. And just to add to it, Ottawa is one of those teams that the Islanders are going to be fighting most likely for one of those playoff spots. Lane Lambert, he seems to be juggling the lines even within the game. I think the change he made mid-game worked, but it'll be interesting in my mind to see how this team lines up in practice tomorrow or in the morning skate on Thursday, because the line combinations, you got to find that balance between getting guys chemistry with each other, getting them familiar with each other, and trying to wake them up and give them a spark by changing things up and look for a combination that works. Lane Lambert tends to juggle lines, tends to not stick with a lot of combinations for too long. But you know what? Last night, he even broke up the identity line. And I think he's really trying to send that message to this team that they need to be better offensively. Whether they get the message, whether they play well enough to prevent more line juggling and more line changes, that remains to be seen. But as of right now, this team is still searching for answers and still not playing well when they get away from their identity. We saw that against the Devils. We saw it against the Sabres where they were just dreadful. And now we saw it against the Avalanche. Get back to the games they played, the way they played in the first 2 games of the season. It may not be sexy. It may not be exciting, but it is winning hockey if you are the New York Islanders. All right, we've got more to get to. We have our Islanders birthday of the day and our weekly farm report as we talk all things Bridgeport Islanders. All that and more still to come on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. My favorite feature is the fact that you can see the view from your seat before you buy when you go on the app, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And Game Time has deals on tickets, not only right up to the start of the event, but even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Time now for our weekly farm report as we talk all things Bridgeport Islanders. And the Bridgeport Islanders, as we mentioned, played 3 games last week since our last weekly farm report, and they had 3 different results. Last Wednesday, a 4-2 loss against the Providence Bruins. Kyle McLean got 2 goals in that game, but it was not enough. A road game, even at 2-2 after 40 minutes, but they couldn't hold on. Jakub Skarek, losing for the first time this year, made 28 saves in the game. Meanwhile, the Islanders then Saturday got back on the winning side of things with a 2-1 overtime win over the Utica Comets. That was a strong performance. Matthew Maggio, his first professional AHL goal. Jakub Skarek with 26 saves and 2 more assists for Kyle McLean. So he has back-to-back multi-point games as the Islanders got back on the winning track in that game. But then Sunday, the Islanders lose in overtime 3-2 to the Hershey Bears, one of the better teams in the league. Tanner Fritz gets his first goal of the year, and Matthew Maggio scoring in back-to-back games. That's encouraging for the Islanders. And Skarek starting for the 3rd straight game, only 19 saves in this one. So the team defense was certainly better, and the Islanders basically managed to at least get a point in this game. Now, you look at where they're at, the statistics. Ruslan Iskhakov still has the team lead with 6 points in 5 games, followed by Brian Pino with 5 points, 1 goal and 4 assists. Kyle McLean now 2 goals and 4 points in 5 games. Dennis Chalowski, a goal and 4 points in 5 games. And then Matthew Maggio, 2 goals, 3 points in 5 contests. Meanwhile, the goaltending, Jakub Skarek, looking good in 4 games at 2.46 goals against average and a .907 save percentage. So Bridgeport kind of trying to find themselves right now. In 4th place in the Atlantic Division with their 2-2-1 record, 5 points in 5 games, and looking to be competitive in the Atlantic Division. Now, the schedule for this week for Bridgeport, well, 2 games, both on the road. They travel to Charlotte to take on the Charlotte Checkers. First game will be Friday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And then the second game Saturday at 6 o'clock Eastern time. Both games in Charlotte, and you can watch those on AHL TV. So check that out, and that will wrap up the month of October for the Bridgeport Islanders. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day. Let's see who got this one right. Today's Islanders birthday of the day, and we're on target here. It actually is today, but it is the 57th birthday of former Islanders forward Wendell Clark, the native of Kelvington, Saskatchewan, first overall pick in the 1985 NHL entry draft by the Maple Leafs, had back-to-back 30-goal seasons to start his NHL career, and then had a career-high 46 goals in 1993-94. Joined the Islanders in 1995-96, scored 24 goals and 43 points in 58 games before the Islanders traded him back to Toronto, later played for the Lightning, Red Wings, Blackhawks, and then Toronto again before he ended his career after the 1999-2000 season. 793 games, 330 goals, 564 points, and 1,690 penalty minutes. Wendell Clark did not back down from those kind of challenges. 95 playoff games, 37 goals, 69 points, and 201 penalty minutes. Never got the feeling Clark was particularly happy on Long Island, but he did have some good games. He was productive, but the Islanders were not a good team. We look at one of his better games with the Isles, November 14th, 1995, at the San Jose Arena. Jamie McLennan, the Islanders goalie, Wade Flaherty, who would be an Islander, was the goalie for the Sharks. And in this game, Wendell Clark scoring twice on 4 shots on goal to help lead the Islanders to a 5-3 win over the Sharks. And keep in mind, the Islanders win improved their record that year, and this is the fish sticks era, to 3-11-2. So, not an easy time for the Islanders, but Clark with 2 goals, Matthew Schneider with a pair of assists in this one as the Islanders skated away with a win. So Wendell Clark, the rugged forward from Kelvington, Saskatchewan, is our Islanders' birthday of the day. We wish him a very happy 57th birthday today. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show, we will preview the game against the Ottawa Senators, and we will also hopefully have some injury updates on Scott Mayfield and some lineup updates as to how the Islanders' line combinations look. As I said, Lane Lambert changing things early and often on this team. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the pros and cons of those lineup changes. So make sure you join us for that. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.